Hey, this is Allison hanging out in My Space to Craft, and I needed to make a holiday card, but not a standard A2 card. I wanted to make a big one because I wanted plenty of space to write in this card. It's actually going to a young girl that I sponsor in Uganda through Children's Hope Chest and my church. So I'm her sponsor. I have met her when I went to Uganda a couple of times, and I always try and send a really nice big Christmas card with a letter in it, and then write a couple other times a year. So I've pulled out this sort of fun modern diagonal stripe paper. It's a little Christmassy, but she's actually not going to get this card until January. So I wanted it maybe a little Happy New Year's, also a little Christmassy. So I thought I would use this dark green as a mat for it. I end up changing that because it's not quite the right color green, and I don't love it as I continue to build the card. So I've pulled out a Close to My Heart Christmas stamp set, and I'm going to use this Just Believe stamp. I do actually have some green ink that I'm going to use from Stampin' Up. And then there's also some trees, little tree stamps that I've pulled, so I'm going to use those as well. And this stamp set also came with a die set. I bought it as a bundle, so it has some dies to match it. Oh, I went off to, sorry about that, I had gone off to look for ink pads. I struggled a little bit with what inks I wanted to use, and I just decided I would try this. I think it's called Green Galore. It's an old color from Stampin' Up. And I'm doing that just on my white cardstock. So I'm using my stamp platform so I can do it a couple of times. And I'm going to just flip this little scrap over and do some of the little trees. Actually, now that I think about it, I had done some trees for a tree swap on Ginger's Corner. I might have looked at that to see if it would work, but I'm happy with what I got. Using these two little stamps. I do it in a couple of different greens. One of them that I tried, I ended up not actually using, but I'm just going to use the same two stamps and this a different green. And then I'm going to go off and use the dies to cut these. Oh, I do one more, thinking that, but this is the one I end up not using. I just put it in my little ephemera pot to put away. I'm just looking for a scrap of paper here to try the color on, and I don't like that color at all. It's too blue. So I'm going to try this one. And and it's really a little too army green. Is that a color? It just doesn't look good with the other colors. So off to die cut. I spliced that out, so I'm not that fast a die cutter, but all right. And then I have this fun, funky strip of blue that mimics the blue that's in that paper. It's from the same paper pack, probably. Old Creative Memories paper pack. I thought about using this one because I could get something a little wider, but I didn't want to incorporate that red, really. So I think about, do I want to make this a little bit wider so I can fit it on there? Just struggling a little bit with the layout for this. And so I end up doing something similar to this, but I'm about to change my mind on that dark green background paper, and I pull out some blue paper that is really the perfect blue for this paper, and I'm going to use it for the background instead. And it's kind of a textured blue. I use it a lot if I'm doing beach scenes or trying to get a water look or a sky look. It works really, really well. So that's a little bit of softer, not so harsh. I'm happier with that, so I'm going to go ahead and cut that. And on these, so I just took an 8.5 by 11, folded it in half. So it is 5.5 by 8.5. And then this will come in 1/4 of an inch so that I have an 1/8 of an inch border on it. And then the striped paper is another 1/4 inch smaller so that you get an 1/8 of an inch on each. And that's kind of a little bit of a standard mat size. And I am using wet glue here, especially on this textured paper. It tends not to hold the removable, the repositionable adhesive all that well. So this art glitter glue is the right answer for this textured paper. So I'm going to take this and I'm just going to leave a small green outline there. It just gives it a little more substance, a little more presence on the page by matting this also. And I am going to glue it straight down and not use dimensional adhesive on it, but I am going to put dimensional adhesive on this title so that it gets a little better, stands up a little better against that background. And I'm using this scrapbook.com, oh, I think this might be 2 mil strips, foam adhesive, and real thin strips, 1/8 of an inch strips, and using that thin stuff is pretty easy on these letters. Then I'm just going to arrange the trees a little bit, and I'll pop one of those up and leave 3 flat. So it's just kind of a simple card layout. I didn't want to get anything, I didn't want to show a lot of presents because these kids do not get presents. They do not have the abundance that we have here in the West. So I didn't want to do anything too showy on the card. I don't think they do really even Christmas trees. I don't know how much they decorate for Christmas. I think it's more a religious occasion. They do sometimes get a gift through the CarePoint that we sponsor. It might be new clothes or new shoes. One year they all got shoes, but it's not a lot. One year they got goats. That was really cool. So they each got a goat, and then they could breed that goat with a male goat at the CarePoint. And then as they grew their little goat herd, then they can trade. They have to give a goat back, and then they can trade, 4 goats or 5 goats for a cow when they have enough. So it's just a really neat way for them to earn wealth and find a way to make income for the family and just have a little more. They also love bling. These kids love anything glitter. So I wanted to be sure to include a little bit of bling on this card. So I made a little sequin mix with a couple of different greens and blues, and then just sprinkled those around in a little diagonal on the card. And now we're going to just take a close-up. So I know normally you just do a few sequins, but it's all about the bling with these kids. So if you're interested, go check out Children's Hope Chest, and they have some great opportunities for sponsoring kids. It's a really good program. So here's my card, and I'm going to write a nice long letter to my friend Mary. Thanks a lot, you guys. Come back for more content.